But now, as we transition to the guys that we lost, Vince Williams, man, that sucks. I definitely understood why they did it from a cap standpoint, saved them some good money. They're able to, have a little bit more flexibility right now, in terms of being in compliance with the cap, even though we are still very close to that number.
We're like
still in compliance. No,
like
right
over?
now.
Or
No,
under,
no, no, no.
I'm sorry.
Right now we are. When I went to sleep last night, we were $480,000 under the cap.
This was after the Vince Williams release.
That was after the Vince release, and because that included the Zach Bannon and Cam Sutton deals as well. So we're under the cap. We're good, but we don't have a lot of money right now, as you can see. So it'll be interesting to see, if they start doing a little bit more restructures here and there. Stuff like that, though. You know what I mean? Like, that's what we're going to have to see ultimately what plays out. And also, I got to see in terms of how they classify Vince's release, too. It's certain things that they can do that can help out with the numbers as well. So, but once again, I don't get paid for that. Shout out to Omar Khan. Omar, make the numbers work. Make them work. All right. That's what you got to do. Make it work.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be a little bit more than $4 million in the cap savings. Yeah. I thought it was going to be like 6 or 7.
I did too, man. I did too. A lot of us did. But I wonder... Well, and I don't wonder. It's because of how fluid these other deals are that are taking place with the Steelers. Why is updating like that? Clearly, we're always going to be a little bit behind the organization, and rightfully so, because they are the organization, and versus the information that comes out from the cap stuff. As we saw, these guys have already known what the numbers were going to be, or at least what it was beforehand, whereas we always get the aftermath, right? Once it finally is released, then we get a chance to react to it. And then by then, they've already done another deal here and there. So as you can see, it's very fluid.
Sure.
But as a whole, man, I highlighted, Vince Williams, his impact a little bit with Robert Spillane. Man, this is a dude that sets the tone, though. This is a guy that was the heart and soul of that defense. Granted, TJ were the playmakers, right? TJ, Bud, Cam, those are playmakers. Minka. Vince is the one who sets that tone, though, man. Vince is the one that gets those guys where they need to be. And Vince is the identity, right? That physical nature, that element that he brought to the table, both in the run game and as a pass rusher as well. This is a loss that will be felt as the roster currently stands. But at the same time, we do understand that, he was more of your old school type linebacker, whereas the game is definitely shifting. But at the same time, we know you can't get away from that physical nature. You got to have players like him, man. But definitely appreciate his time, man. Obviously, 8 years here in Pittsburgh, balled out, did his thing, and a former teammate of mine. So you already know that's my dog. So I'm happy, for his tenure here. But I'm excited to see what happens to him going forward as well, man.
Yeah, there is the one element of him being the old school linebacker where you're not as mad about moving on just because you see where the league is going. But then I've been watching some of these old highlights from past season.
Mm-hmm.
Early on, those first 3 weeks, Vince Williams just completely balled out. The problem wasn't the run stopping or getting in the backfield or the pressure. The problem early on was some of those miscommunications and things going on in the secondary. So when our defense was right, Vince Williams was a really nice complementary piece to everyone else, like the stars that we had around him. Like you said, Vince Williams sets the tone with the physicality, and you're right. As much as Spillane had that big hit on Henry, Vince Williams does it 2 or 3 times a game.
Absolutely, he's the tone setter, man. The tone setter, the beacon of communication. He gives you all of that, or at least that's what he gave you. And even though the league has been trending towards more of a passing style league, we see the teams that ultimately have success are the ones that are able to do what? Get physical with you and run the ball. We talked about the Bucks. What did they do this year? They would get you in a 2 tight end set and run the ball. All the teams, we obviously highlighted the Chiefs, but even when the Chiefs won it all, they still were able to run the ball. You got to be able to run the ball. And on the flip side, defensively, you got to be able to smash the run. So as much as we love to get these athletes out here and, former safeties and put them in the box, and this isn't a slight at, Marcus Allen, because I know we talked about him earlier, but typically those guys lack that physical brand, that toughness that you need to play inside backer, play in and play out. And that's ultimately what Vince would bring to the table. And you can pair a thumper like that with one of those smaller, undersized, speed type linebackers. But to put 2 of those guys out there together, now you can see where it could become a little bit of an issue, especially against the run. And we saw that at times last year. We definitely saw that. So that's why I'm just like, I understand the trend of the league, but we also know the teams that are continuing to have success, they can run the ball and they run it whenever they want to run it. And if we can't stop that, that doesn't make us any closer to the top.